Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Naina girl, Francis K. Well, this is Francis K right here, and the Calabash Princess. How are you guys doing? Hope you're all doing well and great. Oh God, I've had a fantastic week, and I'm looking forward to the talk show today because I've got three knowledgeable individuals who are actually going to enlighten us and educate us with their knowledge and their life experience as well. Well, today, I'm not going to say much because guess what? I'm trying to leave them to talk today. I'm trying to stay backward and watch because I don't want the fire to actually burn me inside this conversation today. If you can, please share this video. Invite a friend to invite a friend. Tell them the Calabash Princess is live and this is Women's Corner, Men's Point of View. Without me saying too much, let me bring in my co-host over here, because I call all of them my co-host, because we all hosting the show together. So we all like family over here. So let me bring in my family and see how they're doing, and then we can talk. Let me go to Uncle Carl and see. Hi, Uncle Carl, how are you doing today?
Oh, I am doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I've actually lost something over here and I'm trying to see how I can get it back. How is everything going, Uncle Carl?
Oh, everything is blessed. I can't complain. How about the Calabash Princess? How is everything going for you?
Oh God, the Calabash Princess is doing amazing. Thank you ever so much.
That's
I'm
it.
doing quite
There
well.
you go.
And I feel blessed to being in here today. So thank you.
All right.
Yeah, let me go to Uncle Pasiva and welcome Uncle Pasiva. Uncle Pasiva, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Uncle Pasiva. How is everything?
Very well. Everything is good.
That's good.
Bless
Let
God.
me go to my next guest and actually see how she's doing. Hello, Auntie Isa. How are you doing?
Well, hello. I'm doing fine. And yourself? Happy belated birthday.
I'm doing fine, thank you, Auntie Isa. How is everything?
Everything is wonderful.
Okay, that's good. That's fine. It's good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining the show today because it's been a while, really. And I was like, yes, I've got Auntie Isa today. That's really good. Thank you. I really appreciate you
You're
being part
welcome.
of us today. So, welcome to
You're
Women's
welcome.
Corner, Men's Point of View. At least I've got a backup plan today because Claudia is not here today and I needed that backup plan. Let me bring everyone to the screen so we can all see each other. And actually, I see Uncle Carl is smiling because I bring a backup plan today. I
Yeah.
needed that backup,
Yep.
Uncle Carl.
Yep. It's all right.
That's
It's all right
good.
to have a backup plan. And
That's
she's a
good.
good one too. She's a
She's
good
a
one.
good one too. Absolutely.
Well, I
She's
hope
very
Yep.
so.
ready.
I hope so.
Uncle Pasiva, I see you smiling gently over there. How do you feel about
Oh
the
yeah,
topic
I'm
today that
listening to
we've got on?
everybody. I feel it's going to be an interesting one.
I think
You've
so
always have
too.
interesting topics.
I think so too. I think it's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it because it's a to me it's a bitter pill to swallow, but at the same time I think it's going to be very educational, basically. So, Uncle Carl, how do you feel about the topic today?
I've always just had a very disdain taste to men who abuse women, whether verbally, physically, never did like it, period. So today's topic, I'm glad that it's coming up.
That's good. Auntie Isa, how is it today? How do you feel about today's topic? It's your first time joining
I feel
us.
good. It is my first time, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Don't be. You
Um,
got me. I actually recruit you as a
but
backup. Like
okay,
I need the fighting gloves today.
that's right. But the topic is great. I mean, it's a conversation that needs to be had. So I'm looking forward to it to hear their point of view and our take on it. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll start with Uncle Carl. As usual, I like to start with the men. So we hear the
Uh-huh.
point of view before we actually go in. Uncle Carl, abuse is one of the things that is disturbing African community right now. I'll take it from the African point of view right now. That is disturbing the African community. And we actually recently saw in Nigeria, whereby the gospel singer, she was actually killed. We spoke about it. Me and Nene spoke about it on Friday last week when we actually came up and spoke about it and bring our music out. The men in Africa, especially in our African community, not all, I'm going to be very specific, it's not all, but majority of the men nowadays are very abusive towards the relationship. Physically abusive, emotionally, mentally, morally abusive, physical, I'll say many financial abuse is what we're getting in the diaspora, and physical and emotional abuse is mainly what we're getting in Africa. So what is your take on it, sir?
Very interesting that you would ask me, the American,
No,
my
it's Uncle
take
Passiva.
on
Uncle
something
Passiva.
in
I'm asking
Africa.
that question. I'm asking Uncle
Okay.
Passiva that question. It goes direct to Uncle Passiva.
All right.
Okay. um, when we talk about abuse, for me, it's both ways. It has to do with individuality. The question is this, because there's a word you use that I just underlined. You said nowadays. So if it wasn't like that before, what changed? Something must have changed for the men to act the way they are acting now. However, um, we talk more about the physical abuse. We don't talk more about the emotional abuse. And the emotional abuse to me is more effective than the physical abuse. So it's not just about African men, it's both ways. The women, and it's not just African, it's worldwide. But since you are putting it, the context is in Africa, it's both the men and the women. Women, they are good with the emotional abuse, while men are good with physical abuse. And I don't condone it. I don't advise anybody to do it. It is wrong. I've always been on the side that if things are not working well, walk away. So that's my take for now, so that we can go
Okay.
on with the topic.
I get you, Uncle Pascal. And I love the way you're saying it. You says mainly the women are doing the emotional abuse, whilst the men are doing the physical abuse.
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say, sir?
I said it's both ways. I've seen where women hit men, but men do that more. You understand? There are men that gives emotional abuse as well. But I'm saying we shouldn't forget the about the women as well. It's not just the men. It's two ways. Like this platform is for us to educate people. So we should also let the women, most of the things they are doing is wrong, and the men as well. The men mostly are the ones that are doing it the most. But at the end of the day, it's both ways when it comes to abuse in a relationship.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. Uncle Carl, we actually
Yes,
want
ma'am.
to hear from you now because we hear what Uncle Pasiva said in his open statement because he's actually corrected me as well right there. He said, oh, it's both men and women that does the abuse in the relationship. But however, the men side, tend to do it more within the physical, and then the women tend to do it more within the emotional abuse side of things. Even though it can actually balance sometimes. I agree with him right there. So when it comes to abuse in a relationship, Uncle Carl, what is your take on it? Because it happens all around the world nowadays. Abuse goes up
Yeah.
and on, and we can see it all over in our social media feed, especially on Instagram, on Facebook, on we see it everywhere nowadays. So, what is your take on it?
Well, yeah. there are some people, whether men or women, who don't need any enticement whatsoever to be physical or emotionally abusive. Um, some people can come home, whether it's man or woman, but more so is men with the physical. Not saying that women, like Uncle Pascal said, Pasiva said, there is women that hit on men, but men generally would come home and just for no reason because they had a bad day at work or someone, a real man, said something to him and threatened him and told him if he ever do something, I'm gonna beat you down, whatever it may be, and he had to come home and take it out on somebody who's weaker in the physical, sense. So that happens. How it gets there to that point, how do people get into the relationship with an abusive person, not knowing that this person is abusive, is the question. You know, what are the telltale signs of an abuser? Um, Certain things you have to look at before getting married or getting into a relationship. How do you know?
Mhm.
Is this person camouflaging that really well to a point that they can hide it up until the point that a person falls in love, and then once they fall in love, let it all out? Or is there signs that this person is abusive and you just overlook it and get into it? So my take on it is, how do you know beforehand if there is signs? What are they?
Yeah. 100% agree with you there, because this, when it comes to abuse, it's actually really big, and the signs of abuse is what a lot of people miss nowadays, especially when it comes to toxic relationship. We all do miss, well, I wouldn't say we all, but I actually, I'll attest to it. It once recently that sometimes you do miss the abusive relationship. You think about it. You do what you just have this thing in your brain. Oh, they love me, or I'm in love right now. Oh, you do to the fantasy wall. You don't really think that, oh, this is toxic relationship. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What are the signs of the abusive relationship? And what are the signs that I'm seeing from the beginning? Because we do miss that really a lot. And we need to be looking for signs. So I love where you're coming from, Uncle Carl. The signs of abuse. So that is one of the things we're going to be talking about soon. I don't want to just spill it up and start giving the signs away, but we need to talk about it in depth. So, Auntie Aisha, we actually listened to what the men have actually said from the men's point of view. So we're taking it from the
Mhm.
women's corner. So our own perspective of this whole abusive relationship thing, because the men are actually taking it from the signs, from both women and men can actually be abused at the same time. But can you actually tell us what is your take from a woman's perspective regarding abusive relationship?
Well, actually, you started the topic by saying nowadays. I believe abuse has existed from time immemorial. What changed is social media. Everybody has a
Mm,
phone, everybody has access to the internet, everybody
mm,
has access. It's like we live in a microwave world, where whatever it is happen, it's uploaded instantly without, gathering the right information. So to me, I think that when we fall in love, you know, people are not patient enough to learn each other's character. We're in such a hurry to get into a relationship, and it's like the sweetening phase, boy meets girl, or when the romantic phase, and people tend to ignore the red flags because
mm,
they so desperately want to be into a relationship that they sort of like, you know turn, like, just don't they don't pay attention to it. They dismiss it.
mm.
Now, I can tell you from experience, because I was in an abusive relationship and I suffered domestic violence. I know what led to that. Most of the time, abuse, it's because of control, where the man wants to control the woman, or how you call it, like obsessive love, you know,
Mm.
where it's like you become the person. The person thinks like you're their property. Like, I know in my case, I would leave and go out, and if I come, I dare not go to the bathroom. Otherwise, it would lead to beatings or something else. Because going out and coming home, no matter how badly you want to do it, I cannot use the bathroom because it would lead to beatings. So I suffered that. So I can speak from experience, which is why what I'm saying is in any relationship, don't be in a hurry. Take your time. Make sure the person is vetted. Because I'm telling you, they will drop clues here and there, and you'll pick up the signs, and you'll know the person's character, the depth of the person's character. But women are so much, or men are so much in a hurry to be in a relationship because they're infatuated by a person that they dismiss all the signs and ignore the red flags. But abuse has always been, I mean, from thy kingdom come. It's not only now, it's always existed.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. You actually touched on something really close to my heart and very there. And when you said social media, because that is one of the biggest factors when it comes to abuse, especially in our generation. When I started it nowadays. Because the reason being, as you said, it's social media is playing a great role. So we're seeing everything firsthand nowadays. And whereby before, during our forefathers' generation, we only see it at home, or possibly through our next door neighbors, or possibly through someone that we know that knows our family. We hear it as a gossip, or maybe our mothers, sisters, or dad's sisters come home, crying with a battered face or swollen face. That's when we see it. But now it's all over the internet. As soon as something happens at home, you name it, it's there within 1 second. You get it right there and then. Give it 5 minutes. If something happened right now in Sierra Leone, it's on social media. If something happened in Nigeria, it's on social media. So we need to remember the effect that actually social media got in our relationship nowadays. Because one of the things I want to talk about is we tend to put everything out there on social media and we forget how the next person is feeling. To me, that is abuse as well. Because there are certain things I will actually put on social media without asking my partner. Possibly they don't want to be on my Facebook feed. Possibly they don't want to be part of my Instagram post all the time. Because we see it with, is it Cora? I'm going to make an example of her, Cora and the husband, that they actually going, is a big Instagram thing going, whereby Dr. Justin said, oh, I'm going to sue you for putting me on social media because I didn't really ask for it. But at the end of the day, he was part of it. So to me, abuse happen in different form and different shape. And we have the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the financial abuse, you name it, the S abuse. There's so many different forms. But when it comes to social media, I think is one of the biggest factor we've got right now. Because even the dead person, the moment the person died, they'll be videotaping them, putting them straight on social media without even thinking how that family is feeling. Because they don't think about the person's family anymore. They just take them and put them over there. To me, all those are mental abuse, they're tortures. Because it comes in different form, different shape. But one of the things I'm going to talk about today is the violence in abuse. That is where I want to actually go in right now. Because violence in abusive relationship is one of the biggest factors. And people hide it. And I think we need to advise people, encourage people to talk about it, not to hide it, and come out and seek help. Because if you're in an abusive relationship, you need to seek help. Because abuse can kill. We see it from the singer. It can kill you. If it doesn't kill you, it can actually leave you decapitated. And trust me, you're going to be deformed, possibly with one leg, one eye, or something. Even mentally, it's going to leave you, mentally destroyed. So violence in a relationship, the consequences are really high. And to me, it can lead to stress disorder. It can lead to suicidal. It can increase, different kind of disease within you. So, and trust me, the consequences are grave when it comes to violence in a relationship. And I want to ask this question. I'm going to start with myself with this question. Have you ever been in a domestic violence relationship before. And for me, I'm going to say yes, I have been. And during the time I was in a domestic violence relationship, I was quite young. I was still in my teens. Not when I'm an adult now, because no man is going to put their
Mm-hmm.
hands on me right now. Trust me. I've learned too much. And my experience with that, I still have the headache to show with this. I've never spoke about it openly, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit right now. I had a boyfriend when I was quite a teen. He might be watching this program right now because he does watch my programs. And he beat me up. He really, really beat me up. He beat me up to the point that I was almost dead. Because he beat me up with a belt buckle. His belt buckle. He beat me up with, yes. And all in the name of, oh, are you sleeping with that guy? And someone that I was not even saying. That was number one. That was where he started with. And he started from Sierra Leone. And he really, really, when I say beat me up, I still remember the beating up till today. But as time goes on, I moved away from that. And he still got me another time again. He beat me up to the point that I was almost dead with a belt buckle again. And this time around, he even pull a gun for me. The people that knows the story will actually be listening to this and they'll be smiling. They'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that story very well. And he watched my program, so he'll be watching right now. And I came out stronger mentally. It was really, really, really derailed me mentally because it helped me. I couldn't trust a man anymore. I was in that point whereby I couldn't trust people. I couldn't trust, especially in a relationship. I don't want to be into it. So it took me a while to get over that kind of, mental stress, mental derail to become whereby I can trust people in a relationship again. So violence in a relationship is one thing that I think we need to enlighten the people them that it's not acceptable. There is no way or form that a man is gonna beat you up. I'm looking at you right now. Whoever is going through violence in a relationship, there's no way or form whereby your boyfriend or your husband is gonna take up a belt or a cane or something to beat you up and you think, oh, this person loved me. This person loved me just because he loved me. That's why he's beating me up. Because a lot of women that I know in our community say that and they're going through it. And that is the way they're saying it. So you have to remember absolutely no form of violence is acceptable in a relationship. So that is mine there. Uncle Carl, I'll come to you. Have you ever been in a relationship whereby violence have actually been involved?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Would you like to
I've
share
been
with
married
us a
three
little bit?
times in my life. I've been married three times in my life. My first marriage, uh, I had a wife who was abusive to me. Okay, emotionally mainly more than anything. But there's times that she would really get upset, didn't have her way, and she'll come at me swinging and fighting, and I push off. Now, me being raised Shreveport, Louisiana, and being raised watching my mom when I was a kid go through some battles with two men that I've seen her with in my childhood. One for a long term and then one for a short term because after the long term, the second one did and she got rid of him faster. But I would watch her go through fights and even tried to help out at one time. I got slung across the room when I was 4 years old by her boyfriend. And it was just abusive, but I didn't like it. So, me being raised by a single parent mom, that was one of the things she instilled in me. Don't ever put your hands on a woman. There's no reason for a man to put his hands on a woman. So, in this marriage, she would come at me. I have cuts on my finger from knives and everything else that was happening. I got married at 20, you know, had three kids with this woman. Uh, she had her issues from youth. I had some issues myself from youth. We all do. And you get into it too quick, too fast, uh, really not knowing what life is really all about before you get indulged into it. So, yeah, I went through that type of abuse. And there was a time that I actually hit a woman myself, messed me up. I didn't like it none whatsoever, really, because it was, I can't say the B word here, but it made me a punk at the moment. Now, granted, I'm the type of person physically where if I'm around men and a man hit me in my arm or shoulder or something, I can talk my way out of it. But you hit me in my face as a child, it, don't hit me in my face. So uh, I would go off, you know. Even my mom one time, she was trying to wake me up as a teen, and she slapped me to wake me up in my face out of my sleep, and I woke up and I hit her on her shoulder, and she whooped my butt. But it's just a reflex that I had, and we was arguing, this lady and I, and she went to hit me on my chest and everything. Again, I was like, "Hey, look, I don't play that. Let's go away from that." I tried to walk away. She got in front of me, tried to talk again, and she took a fist and punched me in my face, and I reacted instantly. Now, regardless to that's my nature, this is a woman before me. If the woman don't have a knife, which the first wife did, and I got out that marriage, but if you don't have a knife, you don't have a gun, which I have to protect myself with, or a bat or something heavy, a hammer, and I got to hold you or push you out the way and get you down and run, then there's no reason for me to put my hands on you. I put my hands on that woman and I felt horrible. Even though it was a reflex, there's no excuse still in my mind. Okay. I didn't hurt her bad, but I hurt her enough. To raise my hand to her was horrible. And it was a B move on my part. And I'd be the first one to say myself, that was a B move. I didn't like it and I don't condone it. Just because I did it then doesn't mean I'm going to say, every once in a while there is. Like I said, if you don't have a gun at play with you, a knife she's trying to stab you with, or something, yeah, you got to protect yourself. That's a different story. But what in the world are you doing in a relationship like that for anyway? But yeah, I have been in abusive relationships, and like I say, men get abused because I was one who got abused. So I'm not going to say that this woman beat me. She didn't. I'm not a weak man, and not to say that men who get beat by women are weak. By no means, they just don't want to hit a woman, so they just stick with it. But uh, emotional abuse, as Uncle Pasiva said earlier, I'd rather have gotten beat by the woman because that emotional abuse took me to a state that took me some time to come out of. It's by the grace of God that I don't treat women today in a horrible way based on that first marriage.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that experience, Uncle Carl. That was really, really good because at least we get to understand from your point of view, basically, and your personal experience. I can't really say anything much regarding that one because that was your personal experience. And when it comes to women abusing men, I believe there's a lot more women abusive to men than we can actually imagine. Because the men, some of them really feel, how would I say, ashamed to come out and actually say this is what I'm going through. Whereby for women now we can actually just lift our hands up. Yeah, I'm going through this. They're beating me up. But the men, they feel that ego, that pride to come out and say,
Mm,
oh, this is what my woman is doing to me. And I believe for us having this kind of topic and conversations, it helps because some people might listen to it later on and like, oh, I went through that, and what am I supposed to
mm,
do to actually get out of it? So it's a good thing we listen to our own experiences before we can even advise other people because they need to know that we've been through it ourselves and we know exactly what we're talking about, even though we're not experts. Because I tell people we're not experts, we just come here, we just discuss what we think is going on in the community. So I'll go down to Uncle Pasiva. Uncle Pasiva, have you ever been in an abusive relationship before? And what was your experience?
Um, yes, I have. I have been in abusive relationship, and it was really tough. Um, when I started uh, my talk, I said it's both between men and women. And in my own case, there was an emotional abuse. So for me, I'm the kind of man that, um, which I used to tell her then, listen, if you see me that I'm angry, please, I was begging her, please just go to the next room. Don't confront me. Don't argue with me. Because most women, when you say one, they want to say three, you know. Then I was still very young, which led to physical abuse. Which I am. The funniest thing is, every time I do it, I regret it, but I keep doing it. Then I realized one day I sat down, I'm like, okay, why is this going on? The women I've dated before this particular lady, I didn't have this issue. So what is really going on? What's changed? Why am I like this? you know then I realized that is that emotional abuse. Then like I said, I was young. There are times women would talk to us, we as men, we can't handle it, we can't take it, which make us like a little bit weak at that time. I'm grown now. If I'm advising young men today, when you see situation like that, find every way to leave the house, to leave that environment. And if it keeps coming like that, you're trying to hold yourself, because sometimes we just try to hold ourselves. I've seen situations whereby a man will raise his hand and they will just hold it and drop it down, walk away. That's the best thing to do. And if it's not, and so that leads to toxic relationship. The relationship becomes toxic. So I would advise, if that is going on in your relationship, then you just have to take care of it, get out of it. My case was, I was having that emotional abuse, in the sense that I didn't feel respected, which was a big issue. As a man, I feel when I come home, my woman is supposed to give me that respect. Meanwhile, I have to show her that respect as well. Because as a man, you have to show what you want, you know. But when you're trying to do that and the woman is not showing it back, she's being abusive. Like our lady was talking about the social media. Before social media came out, there was abuse. Social media has just made it really
Open up.
wide range right now.
Known,
Yeah.
known, yeah.
So, but there was abuse before. With most of our parents, there was abuse because of, but without social media, you don't hear some of them. They just keep it, they swallow it. Now people come out and you know narrate everything that is going on. But my point is this: men should learn to know how to control their anger, no matter the situation. Control your anger, control yourself, control your emotion. That makes you more of a man. Hitting a woman doesn't make you a strong man. So if you have a woman that wants to put you to that point for you to be abusive physically, that's not the kind of woman that is meant for you. Then you as a man, you have to look at yourself as well. If what you're doing is right or wrong, then we look at what the root is, what the problem is. If we can find the root of the problem, then we talk about it. That's where communication comes in. Also, there are times you want to bring this communication. Yeah, I've seen relationships where they want to communicate about the problem. They never come to a conclusion. Reason is because as the man is talking or the woman is talking, the other one is replying to the sentence, not replying to understand. You understand? The response is just because of what the person said. So they don't come to a conclusion. So there are so many red flags you will see that you like, okay, no, this is not what I want to deal with. Because if you don't live on time, we've seen situations where people died out of physical abuse. A lot of evil things come up at the end of the day. Even some kill each other, you know. So that's my take on it.
Thank you very much, Uncle Percival. And I believe your take has been very educative as well. But I want to ask you a question. I want to go back. You actually said I'm respected. You didn't feel respected. That was one of the reasons.
Yeah.
So can you actually enlighten us really in your perspective? What do you think we women should do for a
Okay,
man to be
that's a
feel
good question.
respected? Yeah.
Yeah. So for me as a man, for you to feel, you have to earn respect. You don't have to demand it. How do you earn respect? You have to do what is needed to be done as a man of the house. And I've always felt that as a man, when you're doing what is needed to be done, you have to earn that respect. How do you earn the respect from women? When your man is talking, if you can be patient to listen to him, even if you have something to say, be patient, listen to him. When he's done, then you can bring your own idea. But when the man is talking, you are just like attacking him back to back. Men don't like somebody that wants to rub shoulder with them. You understand? Men, the way we serve God as men, that is how we want our wives or our woman to be submissive to us. That is how you earn respect. That's the kind of respect we earn. I'm talking about. If you don't get that respect, if your woman is not submissive to you, because I've seen where women even put their mind outside. We've seen some shows where a man will be talking, even on the talk show, you see the woman will interrupt the man. I've come to grow that if I'm talking with someone, there's one thing I always do. If you're talking, I will keep quiet. When you're done, I will ask you again, are you done? Can I say something now? Because I want that communication to go on. That's the only way we can understand ourselves. But whereby we are nagging each other, sometimes men become naggers. Women are known to be nagging. But you see some relationship, the man become a nagger, which is not acceptable as a man. So that is what I call respect. You
Okay.
earn it, you don't demand it.
I understand where you're coming from now. So now we've listened to what the men have to say, right? Auntie Isa, what is your own take about what they said?
Well, for me, first of all, I want to commend you guys for being honest and owning up to your past and, letting us know what you went through, when you guys were younger. It takes courage to do that, and I want to commend you guys for that. As a woman, what I have to say about this is in any relationship, just like Pasiva said, there has to be respect. That's the foundation of any relationship. Now, abuse happens in so many forms, in different forms. You can be married to an alcoholic or dating an alcoholic who is just angry all the time through no fault of your own, comes home from work and has been suppressing his feelings all day and feels like you're the only person he can lash out on. Now, does he have the right to do that? No. But in his mind, that's the only way he knows how to let his anger or build up anger go, which is not right. And for me as a woman, when I'm in a relationship, I learn to listen to my partner. If my partner is speaking, I give him my undivided attention, whether he's right or wrong. And when he's done, I say something. And if I am too upset or if he's too upset, then it's okay to sleep on it. It's okay for your partner to leave the house to avoid abuse, to avoid him hitting you or you hitting him. Like, the gentleman just said, men do suffer abuse from the hands of women. They just don't talk about it. I don't know what the statistics is, but they just don't talk about it because it rubs them the wrong way. It's like it emasculate them. Like, it's like I'm a man. I'm supposed to have control of the situation, but I don't. It makes them look weak. So because of that, they don't talk about it. All we hear is about women being abused. But I have seen relationships where the woman is the abuser, physically, emotionally, and financially. When a woman loses respect, all respect for a man, that's it. At that point, the man should leave. Because if you don't, it's going to lead to abuse, it's going to lead to physical altercation, it's going to lead to, emotional abuse, and in between, everything else. So when you're in a relationship, when you feel as a woman that the respect is gone, there is no respect, or your partner, your husband, your boyfriend or girlfriend has fallen out of love with you, you let go. You just let go. Otherwise, if you continue to stay, it gets violent. And we have seen what happens when it gets to that point. So for me, it's like when respect is no longer served, when there's no more love, there's just this attachment. It's like the codependency. I can't live without you, you can't live without me, but yet still we're not right for each other. It's time to go.
That's so true.
Because I've seen people, that's the thing, it's a codependency. I don't love you, you
Mm-hmm.
don't love me, or I love you, you don't love me, but I want to hang on to the relationship. I'm going to do whatever it takes. That's when the violence creeps in. So to me, before it gets to that point, and I'm not condoning it, if you are in a relationship that's abusive, that's violent, it's not worth your life. You need to leave. You have got to go. There is no reason why you should subject yourself to a man hitting you or maltreating you or not talking to you or not even acknowledging you as a person. So get out before it becomes toxic. And that's what leads to abuse. It's this toxic relationships, two broken people, people bring their baggages into the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and they think, okay, we're going to heal together. It would work. It never does. It doesn't work. You have to make yourself whole before taking on another person.
That's
So
true.
that's my take on it.
Thank you very much, Auntie Isa. That was very good. But then you didn't really answer my questions that have been going around. Have you ever been in an abusive relationship? And if so, what was your experience?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. When I was in my 20s, actually, early 20s, when I first came to this country, for me, it was, jealousy and over jealous partner. It's like controlling, like you're mine, I own you, and it became violent to the point I have a mark right here where I think he drank a lot. So alcohol in my case played a whole lot, played a part. And for me, it was the neighbors who had to call 911. And he was arrested. And even though I remember I was ostracized by the community because this person went to jail. And I was ostracized because back then in America, it's like you're supposed to, like, don't say anything about it. You're supposed to keep quiet about it. And so when finally I stood up for myself after my neighbor called the police and he was arrested, taken to jail, I was ostracized. People at that point, men never wanted their wives to get close to me or befriend me. Everyone was like, okay, if you're friends with her, if I put my hands on you, this is what you're going to do to me. She's not a good example in the community. And that was when, domestic violence was not popular. It wasn't popular for a woman to file charges. It was not. And so I went through that where nobody wanted to be my friend because I stood up for myself. And, we went to court, we did everything, and he was given a restraining order. But I can tell you, this is where the codependency comes in. Because through it all, I was still in love with him. And he would leave jail and come home or find me wherever I'm at and want to be with me. So we had that tug and pull kind of relationship, hate and love, where I would think, oh, he loves me and, he can't. But it was all control. In the end, I had to unlearn that. I had to make myself whole and educate myself. Said that's not the way a relationship is supposed to go. That's not how a man should love a woman. And under no circumstances should a man lay his hands on you or demean you in any way, shape, or form. So for me, it's like I took the abuse of the community where no one wanted to be my friend. I was ostracized. But again, hey, I came out stronger.
It's good to hear your own side of the story, really, to actually hear your own experience as well. So, as you can see, each and every one of us has been through abusive relationship in one form or another. For me, I just don't want to talk about my recent abusive relationship because it's still in the hands of the court system. So, I don't really want to go into it right now. So, I'll leave it, to pass. My own American experience. So I'll leave it that way for now. But however, when it comes to abusive relationship, it can actually damage someone. And as you said, you was actually being an outcast of the community. And Uncle Carl actually went through his own as well. Uncle Pascal went through his own as well. And we've all learned from our own different experiences. But now, as we were talking, I actually was taking notes. And there are certain things that I actually picked up from our conversations. One of the major things that I think all three of you actually touched on was respect. Uncle Pasiva started with it, Uncle Pascal, Uncle Carl said it at the earlier stage, and also Auntie Isa, you just said it as well. Respect. Can we actually touch on respect in a relationship? Because that is one of the major issues that bring down to abusive relationship. Because if there's no respect in a relationship, to me, you don't need to be in it. Because the moment the respect is actually gone, as Auntie Ice said, when the respect is gone, because I don't know where Auntie Ice was coming from when it comes to love relationship. Because when it comes to love, to me, when you're in love with someone, in my own opinion, you don't even want to fly to touch that person. You protect what you love. It's just like the way I love my kids. I protect my kids. I'm in love with my kids. I can die for my kids. I can do anything in this world for my children. They come first place in my life after God. That is the same way when you're in a relationship. I remember when I was married for over 12 years. And my husband, I felt very protected over my husband. I didn't want nothing bad to happen to him. Because the reason being, I was in love. Because when you're in love in a relationship, you try to protect the people you love, the people you care for, and the people you want to be around. So if respect is not there in the relationship, to me, there is no love. Because when you have
And
love,
if I may say,
it comes with respect. Go on, Auntie Ice.
if I may say, respect does not mean you being submissive. It doesn't mean that.
Yes.
We confuse the two. But okay, like he was saying, Pascal was saying, you have to be submissive. A woman has to serve her husband just like you serve God. No, I beg to differ. But I don't agree with
well, we're going to come into that, yes.
But what I want to say is respect is different. If I love you, automatically I respect you.
Yes.
Because I don't care how strong of a woman I am.
Yes.
If you lead correctly, if you lead me correctly, I will be submissive to you. And that includes respect.
Thank you,
because
Auntie
I know
Isa.
you have a mission. Because I know you have a mission.
One second, Uncle Pascal. One second, Uncle Pascal. We're coming to you. We're coming to you, Uncle Pascal. Go on, Auntie Isa.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, because I know as a man, I am an alpha female. I know who I am. But if my man is leading me correctly, I submit.
Yes.
Because I trust that his mission statement for the relationship or for the family is leading me to places that I've never been. I trust his decision. I trust his love for me. I feel secure in his love.
Absolutely.
And so because of that, he's earned my respect.
Absolutely.
So if you are not taking care of my heart, you're not taking care of me as a person, you're not leading me correctly, you're not going to get that respect.
Absolutely. I agree with you there.
There are triggers all over the place.
I agree with you, Auntie Ice. But
before I say something,
let's get Uncle Pasiva to say something. Uncle Pasiva, go on. I want you to answer back.
Okay, so like she rightly said, I think the English is the issue now. Now, let me quote what I said earlier on. I want you
Let me
guys
put
to
this
get
in
it
screen so
clear.
we can all see you
Hold on.
properly. Yes.
Let me quote what I said earlier on. I
Yes.
said respect. You don't demand it, you earn it.
Yeah.
That simply means when you lead the right way, you don't need to force her to be submissive. She will naturally submit to you. You understand? So, like what she just said, if he leads the right way, show her security. That is you earning that respect. You got to earn
Absolutely.
it. How do you earn it? You have to show the quality of a leader, of leadership. Your mindset, you have to change your mindset. When you do that, you'll see she'll accept. There are cases where, even no matter what the man is doing, this word we call alpha female, there are alpha female that are not ready to be submissive, whatever you do. There are alpha
Absolutely.
female because
I
of
agree with
because
this.
of where they've been told, what they have, the kind of work they've done, the kind of life they've lived, what they have passed through. They are now strong on their own. But they also know that when a man comes along that is a leader, they'll be like,
Say it
okay, this
now.
is the kind of man I want. This man I can
Absolutely.
respect because he has all the qualities that I think a man should have. So at the end of the day, we are saying the same thing. Then let me quickly add this still.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very controversial person, okay?
We know
When we
that
say
already.
controlling, when
Welcome,
we say
Auntie Alice.
controlling and owning, you see, the English is what is always confusing people. When I have a woman, she's somebody like, I own her. I will tell you the reason why I said that. If I own something, I want to take care of that thing. I want to protect, like what you said also, Francis K. You want to protect that person.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be manipulative about it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are manipulative when
Yeah.
it comes to that aspect.
Yeah.
Because whatever you own, just like you use your children as your example, these are your children. You understand? You want to show them the best. You want to lead them. So the first thing we should do, most especially we as men, we should change our mindset. We should have the mindset of a leader. That's the first thing we need to do. If we have that mindset, I think things will fall into places. And when things are not falling into places, because we have to change ourselves. One of the problems we have in relationship, going into relationship, sometimes we see the red flag. Most of us will be like, maybe I will be able to change her. Maybe I will be able to change him. So I don't think you can change anybody. Anybody that wants to change, they will have to change themselves. And you have to change your own self as well to make sure what you're doing is right. You're on the right path. That's my take for now. I got more to say, man. But that's my
Now let me
submission.
say let me let me
Let's go
say
to Uncle Cal.
this.
Go on, Uncle Cal.
Okay, let me say this. This wordplay thing that comes to us as human beings, we say what we want to say and twist words the way we want to twist it
Yes.
because we don't like the sound or how it's been used. For example, in America,
Okay.
when pagers came out, you remember what that is?
Yes.
The little
Yeah.
box that would page a
Yeah.
number and then you
I
get
used
on
to
the
have
phone
one.
and call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they used to be a business thing. If you saw that on someone, a man especially, because that's what it was about, on his hip, oh, he must be a doctor, or he must be a lawyer, or he must be a judge, or he must be something important. What happened is that street people started getting a hold of him and drugs, and all of a sudden the pager,
Mm.
not the pager changed, the pager's still a pager. But now when you see somebody with it, he must be a drug dealer. It switched over because of the perception and what people talked about with it. Pager didn't change, people did. So it's the same thing when it comes to words. Submission is submission. It's submissive. The Bible
Simple.
says be submissive to your husband. And the husband, that the submission doesn't mean you have to just completely bow down and don't say nothing. It's a
No.
respect. It does mean
Mm-hmm.
respect. But because submission has been used in media, on TV, talk shows, as something that, oh, you gonna submit? I bet I won't. It's the attitude
Thanks,
that the
Carl.
woman gets because of the word. The word submission isn't a bad thing, but
No.
people have used it. Submission is no different than you going to your job. And this is what gets me. This is our human nature. And understand this first of all. You have narcissists that you should never, ever be respectful or submissive to. There's nothing you can do to make a narcissist feel better about themselves.
That's right.
So if you're
Mm-hmm.
in an abusive relationship with someone who just thinks too much and highly of
Yep.
themselves and always wants something, always demanding, always you better, then this conversation and what we're talking about in this show don't apply. But what we're talking about now is you go to work. There are rules and regulations at that job. You're going to bow down and submit to those rules and regulations because you need the money. It makes good money. It's a good salary. You may go home and complain, but you go to work and submit. It's no different than being at home. It may not be something that you feel at the moment that's good, but because you at home trying to make something work, you submit. Now, what I mean by that is what I call a you first rule. Okay. It has to be in relationships. It breaks it all the way back down to a conversation about communication. Communication in a relationship has to be there. Okay. So if,
Yeah.
say, my wife comes to me and I come through the door and it's been a long day at work, I don't had my boss on my head, people not doing their jobs and they got blamed on me, and I'm trying to clear it up, and you don't want to sound like a tattletale, so you have to hold it in and do something just to correct. I mean, it's a political thing, so you have to, go home with all this. Number one, you're supposed to make sure that whatever's at the job, stay at the job. Don't bring that home. But we're human; it's going to weigh on us, so we come home. And as soon as I walk through the door, my wife or my girlfriend or my husband, or my boyfriend. I'm talking so that we can say both man and woman. It doesn't matter about the
Mm-hmm.
abuse thing. So they get the yelling. Yap, 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 yap. I said this, and I can't believe you did this, that, this. And you go, what? Huh? Because you just came from all this at the job, and all of a sudden, as soon as you get through the door, it's at you. The you first rule is this: my wife or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or my husband came at me first. You have to recall that has to be the rule. They came at me first. Now, my wife could be absolutely wrong about what she's yelling and accusing me of. Absolutely wrong. And as I'm hearing it, I know it's wrong. But the reason she's coming mad, angry, upset is because whatever she felt happened hurt her feelings. That emotion that she has is a hurt feeling. Whether she's right about what she feel or wrong about what she feel, the biggest thing is she's hurting right now. So me, as a king, as a man, I'm not finna rear back up at her and go, "What you talking about? I ain't do that. See, that's what I'm talking about. You always accusing." Da, da, da. No, you don't attack that back. She's hurt. She's wrong, but you don't address that. You said, "Babe, I'm sorry. What happened? I mean, is that? I'm so sorry you felt that way." Address her hurt first. Calm that down. Give it attention. Whether she's right or wrong, you give her attention by addressing that you acknowledge that she's hurt and upset. So you first, that's number one, you say, "I'm sorry that you feel that way, babe. I am really sorry. No matter how tired you are, no matter what you had at your job is not your home. Your home needs peace. So you, as the person that's leading, or as a king or queen, make peace in your home by the you first rule. Baby, I'm sorry. I really don't understand how that came about that way, but I'm sorry you hurt, and I didn't mean to hurt you in this sense. And she or he, vice versa, at that point, because they have been acknowledged that they are hurting and you just addressed it, they're going to calm down. When they calm down, then you go, can I say something? Then they're going to be willing to submit at that point and say, yeah, like I said, I'm really sorry that happened, but I don't recall, or I don't think, or do you remember something sweet to address the fact that it didn't happen that way? You understand? Now you're able
Yes.
to talk about it instead of yell and argue about it. These emotions that stir up and you get to yakking at each other back and forth because nobody's doing the you first rule is what leads into abusiveness further down the line. So we have to give those you first, moments and understand that the person that came is the one that needs to be addressed. But those words, that wordplay of submission is respect. That's all it is. When Jesus said, wives, submit to your husband, just respect him. He said the same thing for the man, but he didn't use the word submissive. He said, husband, treat your women as Christ treated the church.
The church.
Christ submitted to us. He was submissive to us. He washed our feet. He healed us. He showed us love. He cared for us. Every need that we ever needed, he gave to us until he had to go and pray and build back strength. He served us. That's submission to us. And he's the one who created us. And we to this day want to serve him because of that. We submit to him. That's all it is. Submission is respect. He respects us, we respect him. That's all I want to say about that.
Thank you, Carl. Nice one.
You're right.
Lovely.
You're right, Carl.
Right there.
And you're right, 100%. And it depends on which context it's used. Like you said, social
Yes.
media, the news media, whatever, it's been thrown around. I know as a woman, I should have a subservient attitude to my husband or to my partner. I have to be his peace, you know. Pascal said there has to be communication. Well, if we communicate all throughout the day, hey baby, I'm just checking on you. How was your day? What's going? How is work? Oh, it's not a good day, blah, blah, blah. I'm having a hard time. Work is rough. Then when you come home, I know how to approach you. Because I have respect for you, whatever it is that's upsetting me at the moment, or that I want to talk to you, that I feel can't wait, I'm going to have to leave that in the back burner. Because I respect you enough as my husband, I'm going to have to wait to address my own issues and deal with you when you walk through those doors. Be your peace. How was your day today, honey? How can I make it better? I know you had a hard day at work. What can I do to make it better? So we have to wait. We have to keep the lines of communication open, just like Pascal said. And that alone, can avoid so many issues in a relationship. Because I know how your day went. I know where you at every point of the day. When you come home, I don't have to jump at you. I don't have to jump at you because I already know what you went through during the day. And I'll wait when you're in a better mood to receive what I have to say to you and acknowledge what I have to say to you before I bring it up.
Absolutely.
I
That's what I
agree.
wanted to say.
Okay.
I agree with you right there, Auntie Isa. I actually 100% agree with what you just said. And I also agree with Uncle Carl over there, as he was actually saying. He said a specific thing that I really, really picked up. Your job is not your home. That it's so important because a lot of people nowadays, they forget that, when I come home is different from a work environment, or is different from the life I actually have out there with other people, because they bring the frustration that they've got out in the street to home. And when they get home, that little time they've got to spend with their partner is that time they actually, de-escalating themselves. I always tell people, when you go out there, if you have problems or any issues at work, try to de-escalate your mental being. before coming home. When you get home, you can talk about it to your partner, but don't bring it home to your partner. Because that means that frustration that you bring in from the street end up at home. And that is when rifts start, and that is when problems start. And that can actually lead to different issues. So we have to remember, don't bring your problem home. And Uncle Carl also touched on something and said, you have to love your partner just the way Christ loved the church. Because if you're a Christian, you know how they preach it all the time at church. Christ really loved his church. And he actually gave his body, his soul, to save the world, according to Christianity and according to what the Muslim believes at some points as well. So Christ was on earth. He actually loved us. That was why he gave himself up to save our soul. So that is the same thing according to the Bible. The husband should forsake his mom and his dad to actually love his wife. That is why I'll take an example. Let's take an example of Meghan and Harry, in England. Meghan and Harry, Prince Harry actually forsake his crown as a royal family. He denounced his throne, I'll say, and then actually follow his heart with Meghan and actually built a family in America here. So to me, he's a good leader when it comes to marriage relationship. It's just my own opinion because he actually puts his family first place. So a lot of relationship nowadays, we have to remember, you have to love your family. You have to put your family first place. You can't be out there putting other people first instead of putting your relationship first place. You can't be out there when it's time to come home. That is when you're going out with street, being around friends and family. You can't be, you have a relationship, you don't communicate for so many days, and then you still think, oh, I'm in a relationship with this person. Because relationship, as Uncle Pascal said, is the key of everything we're doing. You can't be let me just take it for content. You have a boyfriend whereby you say, oh, this is my boyfriend. Everything I do at the moment is my boyfriend. You've established that relationship. But then you go like 4 or 5 days without any form of communication. And then you expect that, oh, I'm still in a relationship, a good relationship with this person. And then come back when you feel like and then call, oh, I'm here, babes. What are you doing? We've got those kind of relationship a lot around. So we have to remember, communication is key in every single thing we do. Every single way or form. And when you communicate in the rightful manner, I believe a lot of things that is going on around right now let's talk about even your life as a whole will become better. Relationship wise, it will become better when you communicate with your partner. Every single thing will actually fall in place when the communication is right. But if communication is not right, no matter what you do, it's not going to be there. And that is when communication breaks, then abuse comes in. Love doesn't come in. Love goes away. Because sometimes you love a partner, but when you don't communicate in the rightful way, or the person, because we try to assume, that's the other thing, we assume for other people. This assumption, it kills relationship. Because I feel, oh, I know what that person is thinking, or I know what that person is saying at this moment. So we have to remember to communicate. We have to communicate what we feel, what we think, what we feel that the other person feel, or what we think that person is thinking. We have to communicate and ask questions and verify things in a relationship. That's my own take of that for right now. But then, Uncle Perceiver, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to ask you this question. During the time you actually spoke, when you had your time, right? You said, I own, when I felt as if I own the relationship. So basically, I own the woman I'm going out with. Uncle Carl is laughing.
Yes, go on. I'm ready.
I own the person. So I know Auntie Ice, I kept it for him before we finish. I own the person. And I can change, you have to change, or not to say that you cannot change. So I want you to clarify this again. Do you think when you go into a relationship that you own the person in a relationship?
Okay, that's a good question.
Uncle Carl, stop laughing.
Mr. Carl is laughing.
You know I was going to come back to that, Uncle Carl.
So, Mr. Carl said something that I actually liked. Before I will go to that, when I brought the word about submission, you see, The English now, like when we started, you said nowadays. I said, what's changed? Something must have changed for most men to act the way they are acting nowadays. Now, women mostly, they don't like that word submissive. They don't really like it. When you say submissive, they'll be like, oh no, I'm not a slave. Being submissive doesn't make you a slave. You don't need to be act like a slave for you to be submissive. Okay, so and when I use the word own, yes.
You got
Save
yourself in
yourself
trouble
now.
with that one, bro.
No,
Save
no,
yourself.
I'm
Save yourself.
gonna explain it. Okay, I'm gonna explain it. When I use the word
All right.
own, it's the
Mhm.
same way we use the English that we don't like that word. This is my wife. What does that mean? I own her. She owns me. Hold on. She owns me too.
I'm just gonna sip my tea.
Listen. Hold
That's
on,
right.
Guys, listen. She owns me too.
Let me
That
put
is
him
my
on the
husband.
so we can get him
That is my
clearly.
husband. That is my husband. This is my wife. That is the context I'm using. That, but the thing is this. Like I said, we use the English way, and the way most people they define it in the wrong way. My own definition is different. She's my wife. I own my wife. That's my wife. Oh, she owned me as well. My children, these are my children. You understand? So if I own my wife, this is my wife, I will have to give her that respect, show her the love. But where people abuse that word, oh, I own you, whatever I say you do, that's what you will do.
No, no,
That is now manipulation.
no,
That's what I mean by that.
We get Uncle Auntie Isa. I'll get
no,
you to actually answer Uncle P for me. Please go
no.
on, Auntie Ice.
Uncle P,
Yes.
Uncle Pascal, you're
I'm
growing.
listening. I'm listening.
I mean, I thought you were gonna redeem. I thought you were really gonna redeem yourself. I
I
like you,
did.
and I want you to redeem yourself. The word
Thanks for
own.
liking me, but can you? Yes, I want you to counterattack that.
Okay, so my take on it. The word own rubs me the wrong way. I don't own you. You
You
don't
don't
own
own
me.
me.
We choose to be in a marriage or in a relationship because we want to, of our own free will. You have the
Mm-hmm.
right to leave at any time if it doesn't suit you anymore. I have the right to leave if it doesn't suit me anymore. You don't own anybody. You don't. So I understand what you think. You're my African brother, but
I
we gotta
try
rephrase
All
that a
right,
little
I
bit.
try for him
Uncle
to redeem
Pascal,
Okay,
himself.
Uncle
Uncle
Perceiver,
Cal, go on, I'm
listen,
Uncle
listening.
listen.
Perceiver.
Can I quickly say
Uncle,
something? Let me
1
quickly
second,
say
Uncle
something.
Perceiver.
When
We coming back to you, Uncle
please,
Perceiver.
let
We
me
coming
redeem
back to
myself
you.
again.
Let Uncle Cal
When
go.
two people wait, hold on. When two people get married, okay, they are giving themselves to each other, of course.
But you don't own the
Correct?
Legally.
person. You don't own the person.
Yeah.
Let's listen to Uncle Cal. Uncle Cal, go on.
Go on, Mr. Cow.
all right. I'm coming to your rescue, Uncle Perceiver. I actually coming to your rescue. Okay. See, once again, this is this wordplay thing, right? Because women are more emotional with wordplay than men. They begin to use
True.
it at what's called beneficiary moments for them. Okay. Because when you hear a woman speak and she's talking to another woman, and another woman's trying to get at her husband, the first thing she's going to say is, get your own husband.
That is my own. Thank you, man.
Okay. The
Mm.
Bible would tell us, as Paul did, to each man their own wife, and to each wife her own husband. It's still OWN. And all the word own mean is something that belongs to you. However, when we look at the word own now, we don't look at it as something that belongs to you in that term. We look at it as, oh, you my slave, or you belong to me and me only. And that's not for nobody else
I'm
to
gonna
have. Well, technically
Yeah.
speaking, if you have a wife, he's not supposed to be out there with nobody else.
But that doesn't
If it
mean you
ain't
own the
agreed to.
person.
Let me finish.
That's the
He's
word
not supposed to
belong.
be
It
out there.
belongs to you.
He's not supposed to be out there
That's the
messing
right
with nobody
word.
else. Belong, right?
Belong.
That's the
Yeah.
right word.
Now that's what I'm
Belong.
getting.
Not
That's what
Not
own.
I'm.
own.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm. That's what I'm getting at. So
That's what we're
we
okay.
took the word own when we come to get your own as belong. The word own now has been switched to slave mentality, or
Not really.
you
Not
can't
really.
do nothing because I possess you as my property. We look at it as property. Okay, so you can't use own today with a woman because it's going to be like, I'm not your property. If anything, I'm
Yeah.
at lease because if you act up, I'm gonna find somebody else and our lease contract is broken. But I understand what you mean, Brother Perceiver, when you say my own. I own her. I get what you're saying, but you can't say that right now, bro. Not like that.
I
Just
know.
say my wife belonged to
I
me. When you said own, boy, I
so
picked up my 10. Ooh, Lord.
so like I'm a very controversial person. I say that, and you see,
Okay.
Uncle P, you don't own
it
no
makes the
one.
it makes the conversation more interesting. But so like
Oh, did
That's
it
right.
I
now?
like
That's
the way
right.
Mr. Carl I like the way Mr. Carl always break it down. Okay, like when it comes to submission, he broke it down. You know, when it comes to the own, I think I won't use the word again. I will use the word belong,
Thank you.
which technically is
Exactly.
the
Thank
same
Technically,
you.
thing. Which is
exactly. Thank you.
technically
You
the
actually
same
just got it.
thing. Which is technically the same thing. But I think the word is what women don't want to hear. But like
Oh
Mr.
no.
Yeah.
Carl said,
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. I know you women know that. When two women are outside, they see the man pass by and another woman looking at her. Oh man, who is that good looking guy? Oh, I own him. Go look for yours. And at the same time, they don't like that word.
Yeah.
Pascal,
I have
it's
never
You
like,
said
know,
that. I've never said that.
I mean,
I've
for
never said
me,
that. That's
it's
but no,
not a word
they
that I
don't. They
really
say
use. I don't use those kind of words, you know.
women. But do you agree? Women use it at all?
I haven't
Women
heard that.
used it, but women is
In
matured women don't really use
Okay,
those kind of words. A
no.
matured
matured women
woman,
use
In
it
my
too.
matured women
Matured
don't
women
use those
use
kind
it.
of words. Women do use those
in
words,
my
but
circle
They
mature
of
just
women
use they
don't.
influence.
just mature
Mature
women
women
won't
use
say
it.
own.
Thank you.
Mature women would say he's mine. That's the mature one.
He is
He
mine, which is
belongs to me.
which
That
is
That
is
not to
sounds more
my
me.
like
man.
it. That sounds more
My
like
man.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That
Uh,
sounds
accept
Have
more
I
like
been
it.
confusing
redeemed
things a little
right
bit.
now? Have I been redeemed?
Not yet, but you
You
need
have
to
not
been.
really,
accept.
No,
bro.
you have.
No, not yet, Auntie
Hold on.
Isa.
I changed it to
Mr.
belong.
P needs to
So I think
accept
I've been
that. You
redeemed.
need to accept first that you don't own anyone.
No, I don't own. She belongs to me.
That's good.
That's
That
right.
is
Now
good.
you
Am I
redeemed.
See,
redeemed
Now
that's
you
now?
that's
redeem.
it.
Hello,
Because I
You're
actually
redeemed
gave you
now.
an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Wait a
You
minute,
know,
wait a
in
minute.
how you call it?
Auntie Isa, is he redeemed, Auntie Isa?
He's redeemed. So I mean, he
All
rephrased
right.
it. So he's redeemed. Yes, that's all I
yeah,
wanted.
I'm
I wanted
rephrased.
for him to rephrase it, so he did. So
That's good. That's
All
good.
right.
At least he's rephrased the word. That was why I actually brought it back. And it's not someone that is watching the program actually texted me and said, "Can you ask Uncle Perceiver what he meant by that
Oh
word?"
yeah.
So
It
I
belongs.
have
She
to bring it
belongs to
back.
me. I belong to her.
I have
Yeah.
to bring it
that was
back. So
heavy.
I
That
need
was
to get
heavy.
him to explain himself. But then it's like when it was time for him to redeem himself, he kept tying himself up. And I was like, but that's good. You've been
Well, Carl
redeemed
did
now.
it.
That's good. The
Thank God for
conversation has been
Carl.
a really
So
good, healthy conversation today, and we've actually passed our 1 hour mark. I think we'll come back next week with the same conversation point of view, and we'll take it from a different perspective, basically. But before we leave, right? I think we've discussed a lot of things between the aspects of abusive relationship. We just touch on different things. I think before we leave, personally, we need to help our viewers understand that you can leave if you're in an abusive relationship that you're not supposed to be in. I say seek counseling first. If the abusive relationship is getting to the expense of violence, because with violence that's got involved, because you have to think about it, your life, and some of us that's got kids, you have to think about the kids. You have to think about so many different aspects in it, basically. So you can leave. However, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh, leave your husband or leave your wife or leave your relationship. That would be wrong for me to
I
do
am.
so. So the best thing I can actually advise you at this moment, seek counseling, seek help. Find a friend that you trust and go and talk to that person. Seek advice from someone older than you or someone that's got experience and go talk to that person. Because sometimes when you find yourself in those relationships, it's very difficult to leave. Because some people start thinking, oh, we've got properties together, or they've got some financial commitments together, so they cannot just leave like that. Or some people stay in it because of the kids. I've got kids with this person, and for every time you said you want to leave a domestic violence relationship, it's actually become more violent and it escalates in a different format. And some of the abusers can be very corny. So we have to remember this. We're not advising you what to do in your relationship. This is a disclaimer I'm making. However, we're talking to you from our own experience point of view. So it's your decision to make your decision in your relationship and seek help that's going to help you in your relationship. We're just here to talk about it from a woman's corner and a male's point of view. That is all we're talking about. So, Uncle Pascal, before we leave right now, I'll go straight back to you. What advice would you give for someone that is suffering from domestic violence at this moment in their relationship from an African man's point of view?
It's simple. Just walk away. You don't even
It's
have
easier
to.
said to walk away
Of course,
than really
yes.
going.
It's just to
that's
walk
right.
away. You don't need to even compromise it at all. When it becomes a toxic relationship, you don't feel respected, be it the man or the woman. I'm not talking only from a man's point of view. You don't need to sit there think that person is going to change, because at the end of the day, you can't change someone. You can only change yourself, and the person can change his or herself. So if the relationship is still it's abusive, it's toxic, then you walk away.
Thank you very much, Uncle Pascal. So, Uncle Pasiva, advice to everyone is walk away. If the relationship has gotten to that point whereby it's choked you, you cannot really bear it anymore, you know this relationship is really toxic, walk away from that relationship. Take a break and take a breather and recoup and see if you want to get back to it or you don't want to get back to it. So that's Uncle Pascal's advice. So I would go down to Uncle Carl. Uncle Carl. Well, before I get to Uncle Carl, let me go first to Auntie Isa. Auntie Isa, there was something you said earlier on regarding relationship, right? You actually came up with the idea of an alpha female in a relationship. You said, oh, you're alpha female, and this is how alpha female actually behave. Because a lot of people have actually defined me as an alpha female because I'm very strong in personality. I tell them I'm an Aries. And guess what? I'm the middle of the month Aries. So because I'm the middle of the month Aries, I've got a very strong personality and very strong character. But a lot of people come up, oh, you're alpha female. Yeah, it's good to be an alpha female, but the way some people perceive it can be a very negative connotation. Can you please enlighten us a little bit what you meant by alpha female, and how can we actually, as women, how can we portray ourselves as an alpha female without offending other people?
Well, hey, I make no apologies at all. Um, For me, I know I'm an alpha female because I'm a go-getter. I don't wait on anybody to make decisions for me. I know what I want, I go after it. I have my goals, so I know I don't need to wait on a man to tell me what to do. I go ahead and do it. So that's the thing. It's like when I say an alpha female, it doesn't mean there is no place for a man in my life. Of course, there's always a place for a man in my life. And, you know, when I'm in a relationship, because I only date men who lead, who know how to lead me, I'm subservient. There's no other way about it. But I know what I want, I know where I'm going, and I also know it is I before others. That's it. It is I before others. Period.
Thank you. But what about when the most of the men will be like, oh, this is the reason why they're not married because they think, oh, they're alpha female. Because
But
we get
that's
that a
on
lot
them.
in our
Like
community.
for me, I get that a lot. It's
Yeah.
like people, make their own assumption. Oh, look at her, and try to count my pennies. I can't afford her. You know, um, I can't afford her. If that's how she is, if that's how she dresses, or if this is how much she makes, then I cannot afford her. There's no place for a man in her life. That's not correct, and I can't help it if that's how you feel. Because I'm a strong woman, because I know what I want, and because I'm a go getter, does not mean that I'm rude and I'm taking the place of a man in my life. No, it means that when you come to me, you should know how to lead me. And you know exactly the kind of woman you're going to get. You're going to get a woman who is going to walk beside you. You're not going to get a woman who is going to lead you. I only lead myself. If you come correctly and you know how to lead me, I'm going to walk beside you or behind you. So for the people who think, oh, she's too strong or whatever, you can't help it. I can't. You got to quit explaining yourself to people. Those who know me know I have a sweet side, you know, about me. I'm sweet, I'm loving. At the same time, I'm strong. I have learned to be strong. Alpha female come to be an alpha female because they have learned to be strong all their lives. They have learned to only depend on themselves and nobody else. Period. So that's what it is. So because I don't expect anything from you, I can never be disappointed. Because I know the only way for me to do it is for me to get up and do it. A man's best servant is himself.
Thank you.
So it doesn't mean there's no place for a man in my life, or if a man comes my way that knows how to lead me. Hey, I even do that when I serve you, like as a courtesy, because I give you it all. I submit to you. But at the same time, I'm strong.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Auntie Isa, for that. I love it. I'm sitting down in my little corner and I'm like, yes, somebody's finally defining it for us very well. Instead of them actually just putting us in one cage. I think they need to start looking at it from a different perspective. Uncle Carl, I come back to you, my dear. And earlier on, in our conversation, you actually said just as Christ. I actually really repeated it earlier on today. Just as Christ loved the church, that's the same way the husband's supposed to love the wife. So do you think in our generation men actually do have that kind of love? Or women are expecting, okay, let me rephrase the question. Is it that
Yeah.
women are expecting a Christ kind of love from a man, which to me doesn't exist anymore? Or you do have them, but they're rare. Or is it that we don't understand the real meaning of love anymore in our generation or in any relationship aspect?
I would go with the latter. I would have to go with the latter. Even though the former has a weight to it, it's more the latter. We as parents have failed to really teach, mainly because we as parents didn't hang. on to a relationship with our husband or wife to show our children what love is really about. Okay. Uh, not many people out of the four on the panel, I can say one out of four didn't even grow up with both the mom and the dad in the household. Okay. Single parenting raising. So a child doesn't grow up to see the examples of how things should be. Now, the one thing I can say in other cultures, um, a lot of cultures, no matter who they are, you do have your few that do have mom and dad that's raising the children, which is great. But love is being lost because love is not being taught. Sometimes the mom is single and she has sons, and she's so worried and trying to get and survive in life without a man, and even trying to get a man to help, that she's not thinking as this boy becomes 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, the things that she needs to teach him as from a man supposed to teach how to love a woman. You know, it just gets looked over, and then the street teach that child, his friends, who think they know, and it gets lost. Same thing for a female. They grow up and they haven't seen their mom with a man to see how it's supposed to be done. So then you grow up and you want to get married because you watch TV and you saw what marriage was supposed to be, and you really don't know it in your heart. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's what that is. Now, as far as the other question you asked me earlier, I'm going to pass on that for two reasons. One, I know Brother Perceiver has to go get to do something. And two, your disclaimer would be
Okay.
completely blown out the water if I say something about that. So,
Okay, I'll give it a pass and I'll leave it just the way it is, basically. We'll talk about it next week. So, this week we've
all
actually
right.
come towards the end of our program, and I just want to reaffirm and affirm again and tell our viewers and our listeners, if you're listening to us after we finish, remember, please press the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button. And remember, you can watch us at Calabash Network or Calabash Media on YouTube. We actually streaming live on YouTube, so all of our videos are available to be watched on YouTube. You can send us your comments, you can send us your suggestions. We here, and every single Thursday, remember, as long as we are available, you've got women's corner, male's point of view, because we actually listen to different people's points of view and we take it, we argue over it, but we tend to live cohesively as a family on the screen right here, even though we have our disagreements sometimes. But remember, we're all friends and family over here. And one thing I want to tell people again, please remember, we're not professionals. We just talk out of our own experience and our own personal opinion. That's how we give advice. If you think you're the abuser in an abusive relationship, seek help and ask yourself, why am I abusive to my partner? Why am I actually being this abusive to in my relationship? Maybe to my children, to my partner, to my colleagues at work. There might be an underlying issue which you're not really dealing with. Remember, ask yourself a couple of questions when you stand in front of the mirror. Why am I being abusive to my partner? It might be emotional, physical, verbal abusive, financial abusive to your partner. Ask yourself certain questions, and when you ask yourself those questions, if you're the abuser, please seek help and stop doing what you're doing. And if you're the person receiving abusive from your partner, or if you're in an abusive relationship and you don't know how to get out of that relationship, I'm begging you, no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you live at, seek help. Call the police, call 911, call 999. Call, in different countries. I've lived in different countries, so I know the different countries' rules and regulations. Go online, check how to actually get out of an abusive relationship. The internet is everywhere. The same way you can enter Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, that's the same way you can do research about abusive relationship and seek help. Seek help. Don't be there until we start writing on your page, RIP. It's gonna be too late. Don't be there until we start writing, oh, did you know what happened to that woman, Auntie Francis? She just got shot. Or, oh, do you know what happened to that lady? Oh, guess what? She got stabbed by a partner. Oh, do you know what happened to that lady? The house just got burned down. We need to seek help. Because when you seek help, that's the only way you're going to get out of it. You can't be in an abusive relationship and keep covering up for your partner. Keep saying, oh, no, it's not my partner. It was this, it was that. Because that's what a lot of people do. Just because they want to be married or they want to stay in a relationship for one reason or another, they're hiding it. Please, please seek help. Seek help. It doesn't matter how you do it, seek help. Leave if you think your life is threatening. If you think your life is in danger, leave. I'm begging you. And if you're the abuser, think about it and seek help too. Thank you ever so much. This is Women's Corner, Male's Points of View. Hope you've enjoyed us today. We'll be again next week right here at the same, well, our times are vary. Because it's about, I wouldn't say at the same time. Our times are vary. But catch us every Thursday on this channel. Please press subscribe and press like. Thank you and have a blessed week. Until next week, we say cuddle.